Yo, what's good? It's Heron Preston. You're here with Uncommon Radio.
Back for another episode of the Uncommon Radio. Today we're here with the one and only Heron Preston.
What's up? Thanks for having me. What's
going
on? Yeah.
So, where are you from?
I was born in San Francisco, born and raised, and I moved to New York in like 2004.
Then that was directly going to school for you?
Yeah. I was always obsessed with New York City, just from movies and as a skater growing up in San Francisco, you know, just like watching skate movies, like New York had super sick skate spots, and like watching movies like, you know, Spike Lee films and Kids, like I just felt like under my skin, like New York was more of a city for me than San Francisco. So I just started exploring like colleges here, and I ended up at Parsons, and so that's kind of what brought me to New York was college. And then once I graduated, I just stayed here.
Yeah, just never left.
Never left.
But growing up in California as a skater, like that's kind of where the heart of streetwear started. So is that kind of how you got into the whole fashion thing, like through the skating and like brands like Huff from San Francisco?
For sure, yeah. I remember I was actually working on Haight Street, which is like Fairfax in San Francisco. So you had Stussy, you had True, you had a store called Red 5, you had FTC, which was like one of the first Nike SB accounts. And so I was working there. I remember seeing Keith in like a pizzeria. Like he was scouting for the first Huff store, actually on Haight Street. So yeah, that was like the mecca, I guess, of like streetwear in San Francisco. But I guess streetwear in general, what you're kind of mentioning is like came from California skate surf culture. So yeah, that's how I kind of came up in it. Like I started working in a shop, one of the shops called Red 5, selling t-shirts. It was like a Colette of its time. And so I started working there, and I knew how to do Photoshop. And I was just a fresh kid, so I was like, let me start making my own shit. And since I worked at that shop, my boss, we had our own t-shirt line. Red 5 had a Red 5 t-shirt line, so that was sold around the world. So when I started doing my tees, my boss was like, yo, just sell to our accounts. So I was instantly in like Fred Siegel in Los Angeles, and I was selling in like these shops in Japan, and that was the very beginning of like the Heron Preston like clothing. So it was t-shirts, and I was like screen printing them myself in San Francisco. Through a friend, he had a connection with a screen printer. And he was like a hustler, entrepreneur, friend of mine. So he's like, yo, we can make a t-shirt line. I have a plug out in Hunters Point where they do all the Deluxe distribution does all like the skate. Like they make all the Thunder trucks, and they do all like the San Francisco like skate brands. So Deluxe printers were friends with my friend, and they had like a 4-color like press in the corner that was like collecting dust. They weren't even using it because it was all automated. So like, yeah, you can go use that press over there. So I just started screen printing, and like they weren't even charging me, like which was like awesome, right? So I was only paying for t-shirts and like screens. All the paint and all of that I didn't have to pay for. So I was screen printing all these t-shirts myself, literally dryer. And then that was the beginning of like making t-shirts out in San Francisco, and that's where I started doing that.
And how old were you about like that time?
18, 19, 20.
So like it was young, you got into it right away.
Yeah, I got into it right away. And it was beginning of just like before I started making t-shirts, like the streetwear lines were like there was so much that was happening at that time that's not even in business anymore, that you guys probably don't even know, but like that was the very beginning. This was like, I don't know, 99, 2000, 2001, like in that kind of time, that zone. So yeah, it was way different. But that's how I got into it.
And then once you like finally started getting into it, do you think the buzz around your name and like the Heron Preston like shirts, like was it starting to get the buzz in San Francisco, or did it really start coming once you made that move to New York?
Once I made the move to New York. Once I made the move to New York for sure, because that's when I opened up. That's when I opened up to the world through my blog. Like opened up a window to like my like creativity and like my lifestyle through HeronPreston.com. And this is like the beginning of like Facebook had just started, when it was just like for colleges, and you could only register for Facebook if you had a .edu email address. So this was the very beginning of like social media. Like MySpace was around and like Friendster. You probably don't remember like Friendster, but like this was the beginning of like social networking, like sharing ideas and like getting our creativity out there, and like WordPress, like before Tumblr. So New York was when I first started to like really engage with like multimedia. And I knew how to code. I knew HTML. It's before you could kind of like say, this is the type of template I want. There was before templates. I didn't have templates, so I had to like code and make these websites myself. But that all happened here in New York, and through that, I got hella viewers, people looking from all around the world at HeronPreston.com. And that's how all my connections were made. That's how I met Virgil. That's how I got like the crazy book deal. That's how everything kind of happened, was through HeronPreston.com.
Yeah, and I'm sure like also being in New York, it's kind of like, I guess you could argue like a mecca for nightlife. So like being a DJ and like being really a part of that like nightlife culture, like in New York, you're able to like really like expand more and like network more and social.
Yeah.
So is that also coming from like kind of the clubs in New York also?
Oh, for sure. Like, you know, when you're like 21 in New York and you're new to the city, nightlife is a huge cultural like pillar for someone young, you know, and so that's culture. That's the nightlife is kind of where culture. Without, if a city don't have a nightlife, it's kind of a suspect.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's like, well, if you don't have a nightlife, like
kind of
there's no culture. Like that's where it all kind of happened, you know, and like club scenes. So I started DJing off of iPods because my girlfriend at the time, I just moved here, was a promoter, and she was like, yeah, go plug in. So, you know, before Serato or like CDJs, it was literally either like vinyl or like iPods. So it was like 2 channels, iPod, lowering the volume on one side and just lifting the volume on the other side. It was like super bootleg DJing, but yeah, nightlife, I remember like that was where I started to meet like all the downtown characters. Aaron, who did anything and now does No Wave, Dash, like all of the art, downtown creative kids, all the A-Live kids, Rivington, like that's how we all connected, was just through nightlife.
And then kind of like when I like first started hearing the name was like when the bootleg, like you were saying,
Okay.
you were talking about with the DJ, but like on the fashion side too, like kind of the whole bootleg shirts, the bootleg Givenchy, the bootleg NASCAR, and like was that just kind of like your thing back then with like bootlegging, like just hustle and like kind of.
Well, so the whole bootlegging thing was never about like so right, bootlegs, like as we know it, people knocking off, like it's trademark infringing and people trying to make money off of that, right? I wasn't ever trying to make money, it was more of just like an artistic expression. So it happened first with like the Givenchy Rottweiler tee. I was like, man, this is the most famous t-shirt in fashion right now. It's like owning the fucking streets. Like everyone has this Rottweiler Riccardo Tisci t-shirt, you can't miss it.
Yeah.
But it's never been done in any other color. I want to do it in white and fuck everybody up. They're never gonna be like, what is going on? A white tee? I've never seen, and I purposely wanted it to look. I didn't want to. So like a bootlegger like in China, they would have done a black tee. They would have done it perfectly on a black tee. I was purposely looking to make it look as fake as possible, and it worked.
So like trying to make fake cool again.
Yeah, I was trying to make fake awesome.
Yeah.
And so that was the first tee that I did for like my bootleg vibe, and I did it because I had 2 printers at the time. One printer didn't want to do it. He's like, do you have the rights? I was like, nah, I don't have. You gotta get a letter from Givenchy. I was like, fuck, I don't have any plug. They're not gonna do it. But I had another one who did it. So he printed them like he hooked me up, and then that was the very beginning. But the first sample was done at the Nike, like this Nike space.
Really?
Yeah, it was like, because we were doing like all of these like, I was like working for Nike at the time, and I was like programming this space on Bowery, which was like a like experiential like communities space. So there was a retail shop in the front, and then there was a big open space where we had like World Cup screenings, and we had like a Nike SB launch and parties and events. And then downstairs was a whole customization zone where you can customize t-shirts, you can make your own varsity jackets. So we had direct to garment machines, DTG machines, we had like vinyl cutting machines, we had embroidery machines for like tees or hats or hoodies. Like we could make anything down there. So I was like, let me just go and make my first sample down there and just see what people, how people respond to it. Before I actually go and invest in like making a whole run of tees, let's make a one-off. And so that's where I made it, and then people were like, yo, that's crazy. And so I did the whole run, and then I think I seeded a lot of my friends, and I was personalizing them. I was getting a Sharpie, and I wrote their names on the inside of the neck, and so it said Givenchy by Heron Preston, and then it had their name and personalized it. And then anyone who bought it, I also personalized everyone's name who bought it. So it was very like, I was super like detailed with and very hands-on with every single person who bought it. And I didn't try to kill myself. So I only did like 60 tees, so that was super manageable. So literally everyone who got a tee in the mail got their name signed on it. And yeah, that was the beginning of just playing with ideas and just trying to like poke,
like push the boundaries.
Yeah, push the boundaries, push possibilities, and like see what was possible, and just at the end of the day having fun. Again, not trying to like make $1 million, just trying to just get my ideas out there, and just it's like more of like a fuck you attitude. Like, yo, I don't give a fuck. Let's see what happens if I do this bootleg. Are people gonna respond to it? So they did, and I just did a whole run, and then the NASCAR bootleg came after that, and then the Street Sweepers and Air Force Ones came after that.
And then I know you just talked about like when you were working at Nike. How did like Nike find you, and what were you doing there exactly?
So again, in the nightlife scene of New York, I was at a party, and I was just moving to Paris like the next day. And Aaron, who I mentioned earlier, he introduced me to Julian Kahn, who's now like the CMO of Converse, but before, at the time, he was like the Nike energy manager in Paris. And Aaron was like, yo, Heron's moving to Paris, you guys should be friends. So we became friends. I became friends with Julian at Nike in Paris. And then fast forward, Julian moved to New York to become like a bigger, he got a bigger position in New York. He was like East Coast manager of like everything. So I had that connection there. And then I published a book. I got a book deal through my blog, HeronPreston.com. I had a reader who was like, yo, all these photos and all these videos you're making, that's like really great content that I kind of see forming in the form of a book. Do you want a book deal? And I was like, sure. I never had a book deal, and that sounds awesome. So I said yeah, and we did the book. It was called The Young and the Banging, and it was just a downtown yearbook. So I looked at New York not as a city, but as a high school, and I reimagined it as like a big kids high school. So I photographed everyone, Polaroid photography, so it was like 200 kids, published that book, and then I was like, yo, Nike, I just made this book, and you guys should know about it. I don't know what we could do together. I had no idea beyond just showing you the book. So I left after showing them the book, and they came back to me like 2 days later and like, yo, do you want to launch this book at one of our spaces in Nolita? You can do it. They had a white box for free. So I was like, sure. I would love to launch my book with Nike. And so that's kind of how it happened, because I had, that relationship. So I showed them the book, and boom. And then 1 year later, the recession hit. If you remember that, like literally all of North America was getting laid off, and all like corporations around like Nike had laid off like 30,000 people, and like my company at the time that I was working at after college, I was at this like creative consultancy, and I was like leaving on I was like taking lunch breaks to like do the book event, like curate this show. and my bosses at that company didn't even know. So I was leaving, doing this, curating the show, and after that book deal and the show happened, shortly after the recession, so I got fired from that job. They like all called us into like a room, like 10 to 15 of us, didn't know what was happening, and I was like, so you guys are all fired. Yeah, like what am I gonna do? Like instantly I got butterflies.
Yeah.
I was like, how am I gonna pay rent? How am I gonna live in New York? I didn't even know this was gonna happen to me. Like, what the fuck? I just got fired? Butterflies instantly hit. I hit up Julian at Nike. He's like, yo, I just got fired. He was like the first person that came to mind. And he was like, don't worry, like, we'll figure it. So I started interviewing. It took like 3 months of interviewing process. I went out to like Portland, I interviewed like 3 different people and flew back to New York on the same day. I had like 2 more interviews here in New York. I had like 2 more phone interviews. It was hectic. Then they finally hired me, and that's how I got into Nike.
So kind of after all the Nike stuff and the bootleg stuff, at one point were you like fuck t-shirts, like I want to do a real collection. I want to do this for real.
I never even said that to myself, that I want to do this for real. I was still stuck in kind of like a very narrow-minded place with what I was doing. Because going off the Givenchy, the NASCAR t-shirts, the Air Force Ones, and then I launched HPC Trading Co. And that was my online destination to just buy the stuff I was making, because I was tired of just selling through Instagram. I was like, you know what, I just need like a simple Shopify site where people can just come and just shop, and I don't have to manually be like, what's your email, PayPal me here, and what's your shipping address. I was like, this is just too much. Like, so I launched HPC Trading Co. and it was still very kind of one-off, like only 5 products of that, and like very personal, very like limited. And so I was going to do another like drop on HPC, and it was going to be like this blue flames idea with like these blue flames going on. It was going to be a hat, like the next version of this actually. So this was the first. The second was a white embroidery, and the third, which I was going to do with the blue flames on the side. And I was like, yo, Virgil, I got the new hat. It's going to go crazy. And he was like, that's all you're doing? And he had already done Off-White. This is like probably 2nd or 3rd collection. So he was already doing Off-White. And I was like, yeah, it's gonna go crazy. Like, people are gonna go nuts. Like, this is the next hat. And he's like, that's it, dude? He's like, you're not gonna make no money with that. Like, bro, you gotta merchandise it. Like, get some sweats. You need to have some socks. Get like a tee, get a long sleeve, get a hoodie, get a jacket, a windbreaker, like merchandise, get a whole look. And I was like, well, I would love to do that. I don't have no money. Like, that's expensive. Plus production. I don't even, fabric sourcing. Like, dude, going up to Garment District, like, that's like a zoo, a maze. I was like, how am I gonna do all of this? And that's kind of why I never actually like dabbled into like trying to do it all on my own, because I was like, there's too much room for error. So that's why I was only doing kind of one-off little things that I could manage and control on my own. And so when Virgil proposed that I talk to his people in Milan, I was like, if they want to do it, hell yeah, let's do it. So I went to Milan, pitched the Blue Flames collection, the Blue Flames idea, and then that eventually became like the first collection. There was like actually no Blue Flames except for like this tee actually, and everything else. It became like a proper collection. It was just like all of these ideas that I had in my head or in my closet. So I looked at everything that I just loved wearing at the time. I was like, I need this shape of windbreaker because that's my favorite windbreaker. I love this denim because I've been wearing this denim for like 10 years. I love this shape. I love the weight of this denim. It's Japanese. Like, I want this vibe for my line. These tees, I love this 8-ounce cotton. I love this shape. So I looked at my rack in my house, and that's kind of how I started to build like the first collection.
So basically just kind of merchandise, like your own personal wardrobe.
Yeah,
basically.
yeah.
That's kind of like every designer's dream at that point is like literally have people wear what you
exactly. So there was like no rhyme, or I was just like, and again, like I don't come from a fashion background, so I didn't really have like crazy points of view, like color palette and fabrics and all this shit. I was just like, that's fresh, that's cool, I want to make that. That's cool, I want to make that. That's dope, I want to make that. Oh, those hats are fresh, I want to make all that. And that's kind of how it all kind of like came together for the first collection.
And then like being that like you kind of started off with the t-shirts, like did you ever feel that people actually in the industry like weren't taking you as seriously, but it's like limited you, like, oh, he can just make cool t-shirts, like he can't do a full collection?
I don't even think people are even looking at me as someone who would do a full collection. You know, I was kind of still in this space of like streetwear, like t-shirt or a weird zone. Like you could never really pinpoint what Heron was into or what Heron was going to do next or who he was.
Yeah.
So I don't think anyone really imagined me doing a collection. I never even imagined myself doing a collection. But at the same time, like I knew I would have the support and the people around me, and so I was never really like afraid to take that leap because I knew that it could work.
Yeah, and kind of like just what you said, like how you said no one expected like what to do next, or no one even expected you.
Right.
Like that, I find that really interesting because like in the No Vacancy that you did with like Virgil and all them,
Oh, yeah.
like you guys were saying that to actually like make your name, like you just have to go out and do the unexpected, do that thing that no one expects you to do.
Right.
So like
Right.
for you, I guess it was the collection, and then for Virgil, like going and do Design Miami, like that type of stuff, just like going out there and like.
Yeah, surprise.
Yeah.
Surprise, yeah. Yeah, because people want to like place you in kind of a box, you know what I mean? And like I've always kind of just wanted to do things that are unpredictable and like thinking out of the box and just like I just want to like fuck people up.
Yeah.
Like, you had no idea I was gonna do this. Like, I did it. You know what I mean? Like, so that was kind of like why I wanted to like. That's why I do what I do. It's just like there's a kind of like an element of surprise to it. There's like an unpredictability to it. And then it's just like having fun and just pushing boundaries.
And then it seems like for you a lot with your clothes and not even only clothes, but whatever you do, like it kind of seems to stem from like your surroundings at that point. So with like the bootleg stuff, it was like when you're in Chinatown, like you were living like in that bootleg culture, and then with the sugar, it's like the model room. It was like because you were like surrounded by the IKEA stuff, so like.
Do you
think
the show house?
It's kind of from
is it like biographical?
Yeah.
Like it's all personal stories, and that's something that that's just something I just do. I tell stories. I'm a storyteller, and I can't make up. I have to and I'm all about like authenticity and just being real and true to who I am, and so it's all just personal kind of stories and everything that just bubbles up into like kind of what you see me making.
And now that like you with the the real collections, like everyone's kind of keeping an eye on you more, like what's next with the collections, has it become harder to like stay true? I don't know if stay true is the right way, but like still do a lot of the things that you like came up doing, like with the parties, the nightlife, the DJing, like, and like, because obviously collection, like it's a lot of work, it's like still being able to do all of that.
I wouldn't necessarily say like it's harder, but it's definitely, it's the whole new like different dynamic. There's a lot more accountability now. Like I have like investors and I have like a team and I have a whole staff in Milan that work for me, and it's just, and I have retailers that are like Barney's and Bergdorf and Lane Crawford and Selfridges and Colette, like high-end retailers who like depending on me to like make shit that's hot that will sell and everyone's happy. And so I didn't have ever that pressure in the past. I was just out, whoo, let's do this, and whoo, no rhyme or like, I just didn't, like, who cares? I was never trying to really get rich, you know what I mean? I was just trying to get my ideas out there and just having fun. But now it's different, you know what I mean? So I can't be so loose and, you know what I mean? Because there's more people who are depending on me to like actually have more like structure.
Yeah.
It's a little bit more commercial now than how I have been in the past, but it's a good challenge at the same time. You know what I mean? It's forcing me to kind of just really think differently, and I don't want to lose what you know me as, the NASCAR, the Givenchy, like. There's lawyers now and people like shutting down ID. I didn't have that, you know what I mean? Like no one told me no. So it's totally different. So I'm trying to now figure out like, all right, I'm doing my third collection now. How do I like continue to just do the stuff that I'm like, that got me to where I am today without, I don't want to lose any of that, you know, that's the stuff that gets me excited, you know what I mean? So it's just a different hurdle, but it's a good challenge though.
Mm-hmm. Do you think now, I know you just said that you're working on the third collection, like now is the most pressure that you've ever felt? Because I know we were talking a little about earlier, like the third collection a lot of times can be like that point that like sets your mark like in the industry.
Right.
It's just kind of like
it kind of feels like that because like there's a lot of attention on my brand right now, and like I honestly feel like I haven't done enough to even get that much attention. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, don't give me it. Like, it's so much pressure, bro. It's like, I don't want to do no more interviews. I don't want to do, like, stop. Like, no, I'm not there yet. Like, don't bring me up to just, like, bring me down once I fuck up, because that's exactly what will happen. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, the third collection is like a lot of pressure, like from my team, from like the streets, the retailers, me, my family, like everyone. And so like I feel like this third collection is really gonna be like the first collection for me, if that makes sense, because I'm really kind of like, now I'm in the zone. Yeah. Now I'm in the zone for sure. So yeah, and like Anna Wintour like personally emailed me to like speak on this panel called Forces of Fashion, which is gonna be their very first like conference ever at Vogue, which is taking place in October, and like there's only like 10 people on the stage, and like it's me, like Virgil, like Demna, and like all these bigger names, and I'm like, man, like this is weird, like maybe there's something that they see in me that I don't. So yeah, there's crazy pressure, because I don't come from a very like traditional like fashion background. I didn't go and study fashion design, and I don't know how to sew, and you know, I didn't do like that traditional what everyone
just kind of have the knack at finding cool shit.
Yeah, I kind of just hacked my way into it. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I feel like I'm like an outsider.
But at the same time, like, isn't that kind of like more of like the new kind of trend that we see in like the whole fashion world? It's like, it's not the people coming from the traditional like fashion sense anymore. It's the random kid on Instagram that just happens to be like cool. For sure. That is the future, and that is what's happening now, and that will define everyone 10, 20 years from now, like multifaceted creatives who haven't followed a traditional path. I think I might be stuck in like the middle of like the future and the past, and being like, fuck, like people stuck in the past who kind of look at me a certain way, but like you guys are looking at me a different way, you know what I mean? And so, yeah, it's just funny, like finding your place. I still feel like I'm finding my place and defining like my ethos of my brand, and like what am I known for, like you know what I mean, like the DNA, and I'm still building that. I don't think I'm there yet. I feel like. Or I might be. You guys might see. I feel like, just to understand, you are, because you're like, you get these labels like the first like Instagram forward designer, like according to like GQ, and like. So, do you find it weird that like you have people like listing you as what your niche is, but then you don't even think you know? Yeah. Like that type of thing. For sure. No, it's funny to like see that and read that and get feedback. Feedback is really important, and acknowledgement is really important, I guess, for like creatives and artists, just to know and hear. Because if you have no feedback, you don't even know if you're doing something right or wrong, or if it's good or bad, or whatever. So it's interesting to just see people's like journalists writing, and like their points of views and perspectives on like what I've been up to. I think it also helps like shape and shift like what I do next. But yeah, no, it's funny. It's funny putting yourself out there. You know, like really putting yourself out there, and then and letting people judge that, letting people judge you. It's crazy. So like kind of also with that, trying to like the social media stuff. Do you think we're gonna like see more like big businesses like in the industry like start to rely on some of those like young like influencers like from Instagram or from social media, and like? Because it used to be that like the kids always looked up to the brands, but now it's kind of everyone wants to do what the kids are doing. Right. And like, do you think we're gonna see more like bigger brands like actually like let some of the younger kids take control.
Yeah, for sure. I think people are starting to like, I mean, so you like see like bigger corporations and brands like recognizing like streetwear, like, you know, I've always talked about like the Supreme Louis Vuitton collabs and like Gosha and Burberry, or like all the Vetements, Juicy Couture, like all of that, like the highs and the lows, you know, I call it like the streets and like the suites, like meeting in the middle. And I feel like that is not necessarily like a trend, it's not like sort of less trending, but like it's like recognizing like authenticity and like realness, and finally like leveraging that energy instead of stealing it, like culture vultures. But yeah, I feel like we're gonna see a lot more of like, you know, companies, you know, supporting the youth and like really like believing in them. But I don't see it happening like. It's tricky though, you know. It's like there's no right or wrong way. There's no rule book on how to collaborate, on how to work together. And so
It's
you
also
know,
kind of because no one knows yet.
exactly. It's like the Wild West.
Yeah.
It's like the Wild West, and
This
so
is
we're all
new
kind
to
of.
almost
It's
everyone.
Yeah, totally. And so that's what I'm really excited about. Is like redefining like what a collaboration is, and like who can collaborate, and breaking those boundaries and pushing those possibilities and doing things that are unexpected and unpredictable. And you know, that's kind of where the DSNY collab came from. I was like, man, like, you know, like what's my next collab gonna be? Like Nike or a traditional kind of whoever, whatever. I was like, I want to just go as far outside of my world as possible and make that happen. And I felt like doing something like that would be super sticky. Like people would really remember something like that. And so that's kind of like where like the DSNY collab came from. It's like I want to redefine like a collaboration.
I mean, I think, like you said, like sticky, like something to remember. Like
Yeah.
I kind of played off perfectly. Like were you? I know that whole thing for you about like trying to make the whole fashion industry more like aware about sustainability. Since then, do you think we've seen more of that? Like, do you think it paid off? Like, have you started to see more people in the industry care about the like sustainability and cleaner environment and that type of stuff?
Yeah, it's been like it's like the flavor of the moment right now, because shit's fucked up, and I didn't know how bad the apparel and textile industry was in the world until I started doing the DSNY project. I just wanted to do something that was like good for the world. I was like on this dirty beach in like Spain, and I was like, ew, this is gross. Like these red Solo cups in the sand, and it's like, first of all, fucking up my selfies, and second of all, it's like just gross for the environment. Like no one taught you like littering is bad. So I was like, all right. But a lot of like things that have been happening and experiences in my life like built up, and so on this beach, I was like, well, I'm obsessed with workwear. I just love workwear. And I want to just kind of redesign like a uniform one day, like some workwear shit, whatever. And then I was also challenging myself like what I cared about. Like I was like, man, I should be like a little bit more responsible like in the world. Like I'm at an age where like I should just start doing something like responsible in my line of work. I was like, what is that? What is that going to be? And so on the beach, this plastic bag literally brushed up against my arm in the ocean, and I was like, ew, that's gross. Like litter, like trash in the ocean. I was like, wait, I got it. That's what it is. Like I hate litter bugs. I've always wanted to redesign uniforms. The Department of Sanitation in New York, they're a uniform force that cares about the same things that I just realized I care about. They have "Don't Litter" printed on their trucks, and so at that moment I was like, I want to redesign their uniforms.
How'd the Been Trill brand start? Like, I feel like that really like kind of took over everything at that moment in time.
That was a very special moment in time, because you know it was like the power of the collaboration and of me and Justin and Virgil and Matt, you know, coming together and having the support of Kanye and wearing the collection, and you know, like just again the power of collaboration. We had Drake, and like everyone was just supporting us. So you know, we spoke about Nike. I was programming this space on Bowery, where we were customizing all these clothes and destroyer jackets. So I was kind of like wrapping up the day. It was like 6 whatever p.m. and Virgil and Matt and Justin, they were already working for Kanye as Donda, his art direction squad, and they had just come from London doing Watch the Throne tour, and they came to visit me after work, and they're like, "Yo, we just started throwing these parties. Do you want to throw these parties with us? They're called Been Trill." And I'm like, "You guys are like my best friends." Like, sure. Yeah. That was the first time I met Justin as well. He I didn't know who he was. He walked in, and it was like this random dude with them. I'm like, "Who is this dude?" Whatever. It was Justin, John, and so they invited me to be a part of Been Trill throwing parties together. I was like, "Yeah, let's do it." And so we started DJing together. None of us were like real DJs, but we had really good taste in music. And that's kind of how it started. Like, they were all kind of in a hotel room in London, like working for Kanye and playing music off their laptops. And I think like they were just realizing like, wait a minute, like how come we don't hear these songs in the club? Like, no one is playing the music that we like. We should just start throwing our own parties. And so that's kind of how it happened. So they invited me to be part of Been Trill, and we started throwing these parties, and at the end of the day, it was like just us having fun and not taking it so serious. So we were like, "Yo, let's act like we're a boy band, ha ha ha, and we should all dress the same. We should all like have the same uniform and same clothes on. That would be so funny, like Backstreet Boys or whatever." And so we started wearing the same T-shirts, and so those T-shirts became popular, and people wanted to wear the same tees as us, and that's kind of how the clothing company of Been Trill started, right? So it was first music, mixtapes, and then we started making tees, and that's kind of how it all happened. So we literally like within like a couple months we were like on tour. We were like we launched with Edison Chan in China. He was like our first kind of like backer, and he did all the tees and printed in China, and like, he made our website, and he really helped us like launch the brand and get like our product into the world. And we were traveling and throwing parties like Le Baron downtown Chinatown, New York. We had done like the Watch the Throne after party in London at Le Baron in London. Andre Sarajevo, who does like Mr. A. Andre, he was one of our like really good friends and big supporters. So he had all the Le Barons. So we were DJing all the Le Barons like around the world. And yeah, so we were kind of like the flavor of the moment for like for DJs, a DJ collective. And so we were getting booked everywhere. Like, I was taking like day trips to Europe for the first time ever. I'd never done that, like, because I was working for Nike at the time. So, and I couldn't take work off to like go and do my hobby. So I would like take a day trip. I remember I was leaving on like a Friday night, get to like Paris Saturday morning, DJ Saturday night, leave Saturday night and get back on like Sunday. and so, but that was what we were doing. We were DJing, we were fucking designing t-shirts, and eventually PacSun licensed the brand, and we started licensing, and so all of a sudden we were in malls around America, like 500 stores all of a sudden. And yeah, that was like
I mean, it was kind of like what we were talking, like almost like a whole year. It's like what you were saying about the Givenchy Rottweiler, like everyone recognized that for a while. That was the HBA Been Trill shirt. It was like for like almost like a year or two. It was like when you saw that shirt on the street, like you recognized it from a mile away.
Yeah,
like,
I'm surprised we even pulled that off. Like, Shane was a really good friend of mine, and I think I hit up Shane, and I was like, we should just do this tee together, and I started mocking up. It was that, are you talking about the football helmet?
No, the one where it's like the hood and then when you guys had the Been Trill
on the back. Oh yeah, the short sleeve. Yeah, we did a couple tees.
And then
I think we did
that was the Calvin Johnson one, right?
Yeah, but that was actually my face. So as I was working at Nike, the Calvin Johnson like poster was like this big, like right behind my desk, and I sat in front of it like for like a year, and just kind of like walking. I was like, He has gold fronts. This is totally Shane's vibe for Hood by Air. So let me put this on a t-shirt. And so did it, he loved it. And then we were all like, we're probably gonna get sued. Like, we should just re-photograph you, Heron. And since I, again, worked at Nike, I got access to football helmets. I brought a football helmet, I got a football helmet, put it on. I had a gold grill already. So I put the grill in, football helmet, I had visor glasses, I had these like Nike glasses, put those on. And then photoshopped it to make it kind of look like him, and that was how that was me on the t-shirt.
No, I never knew that. I always thought it was actually.
No, yeah, we made it to look just like him, but it was actually me, so we wouldn't get sued.
It's interesting though that you guys are actually thinking about that when at that time you were still kind of doing.
The
bootleg,
exactly.
Stuff.
It was because it was a little bit more serious. It was a little bit more serious at the time. More licensed. Yeah. But again, Been Trill was like kind of like the dump for all the ideas that didn't work anywhere else.
And then there was kind of when you finally did that pop up too. Like it was like a pop up in a random Chinatown mall.
Yeah.
Why?
Again, doing something like super like sticky, like in like
let's do it in the
Bootleg mall where you can buy like the I Love New York t-shirts, and then there's gonna be a super slick built out Been Trill store, and we just kind of felt like out of anywhere in New York City, like that really felt like home to us, and that's how we kind of picked that location.
Doing it like in that way, did you guys want it to be like a super known thing, or were you like, oh, we're gonna do it in like Chinatown and have it be like low key, like if you know to come here, or like were you expecting it to like completely blow up?
I think both. I think we were hoping kind of for both, blowing up in like kind of low key, kind of like it's like insider, like if you don't know it's there, you don't know, So that was kind of like our approach. There wasn't that much branding. There was just like one little Been Trill sign up top, and the store actually was kind of hard to find. I remember people kind of complaining like, my mom was in New York, she couldn't find your store, but it was like a big like experiment for us. It was like very digitally kind of like involved. Like our website, there were no text links. Every link was an emoji. So you didn't know what you were gonna get when you clicked on it. So it was all about kind of clicking around, discovering new content. So there was literally like 30 or 40 emojis at the top of the website. There was like a shit emoji and a smiley face and a fire and some high heels and some lipstick, and every
Can you actually find the
behind and behind it you would either find a video or some music, or there was a GIF generator where you could record yourself for like 10 seconds and then it would automatically post to our website. And so all of a sudden you started seeing like all these kids either in like class or in their bedrooms or in their offices just like posting these like GIFs, and that was behind a hidden link. So like that was that, and then we had another GIF generator in our store, which was hooked up to like a platinum screen with an Xbox camera that detected your presence within like 3 feet. So if you like would walk up within 3 feet, the screen would turn on, and you would see your reflection, and it would have a countdown, 10, 9, and it would start to record you. And then once the recording was over, it would shoot that GIF to our Tumblr. And so everything was super, automatic. Everything was super like teched out with Been Trill as well. We had an app, like an augmented reality app, where you could superimpose our logo over anything, because that was kind of like our like visual kind of like DNA was like found imagery online and just putting the Been Trill logo right over it. So you could do that with an app that we made. We had like a Beatbox app, or Beat Machine app that we made. Every pad had like a different sound. So everything we were like really smart with it too,
It was a whole experience.
It was a whole experience. Yeah, it was a whole experience. And again, the power of the collaboration. You had like some of the best art directors in pop culture, right? You had Virgil with Ye, you had Matt Williams, who was with Ye and also Lady Gaga, you had Justin Saunders, who we call image god, like reference god, taste god, and then you had me, my DNA. So all of us come together, like it was a win-win situation.
Like all-star team.
All-star team.
Creative all-star.
Literally creative all-star team. So we couldn't lose. It was just, and once we like realized the power of our energy, it was just
yeah. I mean,
hits after hits.
at that point, kind of like the PacSun and the Diamond Supply.
Oh yeah, the Diamond Supply.
That started coming.
That was rad. Yeah.
I know at that point a lot of you guys kind of started getting criticized a little bit, like selling out.
Yeah.
So what was like?
Yeah, we were a little ahead of our time, and then all of a sudden everyone else started doing PacSun deals and so, but yeah, no, yeah, there was a lot of criticism. There was a lot of criticism, and but that was just the nature of the beast, and that's the nature of just like growing really quickly and just success. That's just kind of, we were like, so the PacSun stuff, that was called like mall rats. And we tried to separate it, but we didn't really do a good job at it. So like the mall rats still had like the drippy font, and kids couldn't tell the difference, right? So we had mainline Been Trill.
A new logo.
Yeah, we didn't have a new logo.
Yeah.
It was like the same. So we're like, wait, why are you selling $100 t-shirts over there and then like $30 t-shirts with like the same logo? Like no one really got it. So that was kind of like one of like the first like hiccups, I guess, in like the whole Mallrats PacSun stuff. But yeah, at the end of the day, like we were just having fun, and just if anyone wanted to really help us get our ideas out there and blow it up, like we were all for it. We were all for it. We were literally trying to like FUBU-ize the brand, but like we were like, yo, like we should start our own. We should turn this into like a FUBU.
Yeah.
Ha ha ha! It was like a joke.
But it blew. And it turned into that wild mantra that it was for a few years. But then I guess one of the biggest personal outcomes for you through that was like, but kind of I'm assuming it was through those guys becoming part of the Donda team and like getting like a bigger role and like someone trusting your creative ability.
For sure.
I don't know if you want to talk about how that came about and like what you did with Donda.
Yeah.
For Yank, that point that like.
Yeah, like so before Been Trill, I was already friends with Virgil for like years, and Virgil was like one of the first like Donda like creatives with Kanye. Like he started when like it was just like Ye, Virgil, Don C, and like Ivan. So like I met Virgil kind of like in those days on the internet through HeronPreston.com, and he had a blog called The Brilliance, and we kind of all connected, and we were all kind of chatting on like the same streetwear message boards, and so that's how I met Virgil. Fast forward to Been Trill, they're all working for Kanye, and then I'm working for Nike, and then Been Trill kind of really starts to blow up. Nike notices that I'm spending more time on Been Trill than Nike, and then Nike is like kind of weirded out about it, and I kind of just felt like I kind of graduated from my position there, and I was just having way more fun, and I felt like I was way more successful with Been Trill, and so I eventually kind of I eventually left. And around that time of leaving, Ye had been starting working on a whole bunch of other various projects, and we were just talking, and I was like, yo, I'm super like wanting to like make a next move, and that's kind of how I ended up working for Kanye.
And then so like what would like all that whole Donda squad, like what would you guys get in charge of for you? Like what would you guys do?
I mean, it was kind of like any like creative like challenge, like I need tour merch, or I need a stage design.
Like I need to do something.
I need
to
you guys. Yeah, exactly.
No matter what it was.
No matter what it was, he would hit me, Virgil, Justin, Matt, Nathan Brown as well, and we would be tasked with coming up with like creative solutions.
So, I know now like a lot of your stuff has become really recognizable on celebrities, especially with like the style logo. We see it on the Kendalls and the Kardashians, and that paparazzi noticing it and like then having your name associated with them. Like, was that kind of a little overwhelming or just like a shock?
Nah, I mean, not really, because I think just through, they're like fam, you know what I mean? So it wasn't like, I'm not like an outsider in their world, like, they're like family, you know what I mean? Like, just through working for Kanye and just always kind of being in that circle of people. And so, yeah, it wasn't necessarily like, oh, whoa, that's crazy, shocking. It's just cool. It's cool. It's you know, very flattering. You know, to just, again, someone acknowledging your ideas and your creativity and also like celebrating it by wearing it. So yeah, no, it's rad. It's cool.
And then also with that, kind of the same celebrity, like people wearing it, the big one, Future, and doing all the tour stuff. And
Yeah.
how did that come about?
I think that came about through his stylist, hit up my publicist, and they were like, yo, he wants some customized vibes for his tour. The color palette is like yellow and black. What you got? And so I was like, I got this and this. Here you go. And so, yeah, he started rocking it, and it was, like, Future's one of my favorites. Like, I DJ as well, and like, you can't go wrong with playing a Future song. Like, he just has hits. So I've always been a big fan, and so it's just been like really awesome to like connect with him, I guess, in kind of like a more like, in a different way, like not just like playing his music, but now I'm actually like working with him, and he's like wearing my collection on stage, and
Seeing your own personal creative ideas come to life on him.
It's hella weird though. It's hella weird sometimes. Like, my clothes have met more people than I have. You know what I mean? Like, hey, I want to be Future. I've never met him. Like, my T-shirt did. Like,
and then so, you have him on tour and everyone else
seeing it. Yeah, it's trippy. It's really trippy how like it happens so fast. You know what I mean? And that's just thanks to the team. It's teamwork. You know, you can't do it all on your own. Like, that's literally like teamwork.